God save the Queen. I don't know why you're laughing. That's England's national anthem. There's nothing to laugh at.
Well, now it's God Save the King.
Alright, whatever, man. It's just, that's in the public domain. I've been singing copyrighted songs the past couple of weeks, so I was, I'm like, yeah, we need to get one episode that, will stay even if the rest get copyright struck, So, yeah, I googled public domain songs. And yeah, I don't know why that's the one I chose, but that is the one I chose. Anyway, hello, hi, welcome. The name of the show is Politics.
Okay.
Although I call it Politrix, and the title of this episode is Oppenheimer, aka Barbenheimer Part 2. My name is Presh.
And I'm Ty.
And it looks like this is going to be a very long episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's see here. I have 8 pages of notes.
That's a little bit.
Well, it's mainly news. There's a lot of news this week.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I have a lot of opinions on the news this week.
Okay.
That's more so. But anyway, the cleanup from last week.
Yes.
So last week you said that Johnny Quest was rebooted when you were a child.
Yes.
So I couldn't fact check you at the time because I wasn't 100% sure, but I googled and you were thinking of Johnny Quest.
Johnny Test.
Johnny Test.
Yes.
I read the wrong thing. So Johnny Test is a show I always viewed as an inversion of Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Dexter's Lab?
Yes.
And?
I see it.
Alright. Because Dexter is a redhead boy genius.
Yeah.
And he has a dumb blonde sister named Dee Dee.
Yes.
His father goes to work and his mother stays at home and, maintains the house.
Yeah.
With Johnny Test, he's a dumb blonde guy, but he has 2 redhead genius sisters.
Yeah.
So it's not a gender swap, just an inversion of the situation.
Yeah.
His mother goes to work and his father stays at home to maintain the house.
Yeah.
So again, an inversion of the roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Johnny Test is a very weird relationship to Dexter. I don't know how to link them,
but there's something
there. Yeah. Anyway, also last week I said Frances Ha was Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach's first collaboration. It was actually the 2010 movie Greenberg, which I will never watch, but
okay.
Good to know.
Fair enough.
So the news of the week. We spoke about the EFF's 10-year anniversary celebrations last week, and they were platforming a homophobic speaker, the professor.
Yes.
I forget his name.
Yeah,
but not important, right? That was just the start of the celebrations. The actual main event was at FNB Stadium. Towards the end of the event, the EFF's leader, Julius Malema, started a chant called Kill the Boer. Right?
Yeah.
This is an apartheid-era chant, and I understand how on its face it can seem like a call to violence. But it's really not. Said in context, it really means something closer to bring down the system. And again, like I said, it's a apartheid-era song, so it's more about bringing down apartheid.
Yeah.
Right. I know this because a few years ago Malema was taken to court over this about this being hate speech.
Yeah.
And he won the case that singing the song is not hate speech. The Constitutional Court declared it so.
Yes.
And just because a judge ruled something, that doesn't mean it's the correct decision. I disagree with plenty of things that are laws. Right. But in this particular case, I believe that was the correct decision.
Okay, yeah.
Because context changes things, right?
Okay.
For example, the swastika was just a pattern before the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Right? But after that, it was viewed as a hate symbol because the context of the Holocaust changed that meaning.
Yeah.
Right? Similarly with words, the context of a situation changes how words are interpreted. Right?
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, people both singing and listening to the song, it is widely understood to be a struggle song and not a call to violence.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The only thing I will say about this is, once again, in terms of strategy, I don't think this is a good idea.
No.
A political party should be trying to get the most votes that they can. And this is needlessly inflammating to white people who could be amenable to a message, right?
Right.
The EFF could say, well, we aren't trying to attract white people. White people are a minority in this country. We can win without, even a single white vote.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I would point out that they aren't in power, right? If you have the majority of votes, you can afford to turn your nose up at, potential votes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you sell out your values to attract voters. For example, platforming a homophobic speaker, will attract other homophobes.
Yeah.
But it throws your gay supporters underneath the bus.
Yes.
So that's a betrayal of values to attract other people. That's not what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Right.
The EFF could have made the same point with another struggle song instead of the one that they know will bring criticism and that people can misconstrue as, being a call to violence.
That is true, they could, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying you're not selling out your values, you're just presenting your values in a different way.
Yeah.
Right? That being said, another struggle song wouldn't have gotten the same amount of attention as this particular song, which I believe is the reason why it was sung.
Yeah.
Right? People say that, there's some people that say that all press is good press. Right?
Yeah.
But I disagree with this. I don't want my name or something I'm associated with to have any negative connotations.
Yeah.
Right? If my party is associated with, inciting violence against a group, that's always a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? All in all, I really think this is a huge nothing burger.
Okay.
Because again, like we said a few years ago, they won the court case that this is not hate speech.
Yeah.
Right? I'm far more upset about them having that homophobic professor give the keynote speech, at the opening event last week.
Yeah.
That gay people are actually under attack.
Yes.
Right? So platforming guys like this, it could spur more attacks on gay people.
Yes.
That's a genuine threat.
Yeah.
So, following this, the ANC, our ruling party, hasn't commented on this. Right?
Okay.
However, the DA, which is the official opposition and a right-wing party,
Yeah.
and AfriForum, which is an advocacy group for white people, have taken this opportunity to push the white genocide conspiracy theory.
Seen a lot of this.
So this is a worldwide theory that comes up in different contexts, right? In a South African context, it comes down to farm murders.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. I'm not saying that farm murders don't happen.
Okay.
I'm saying South Africa is the most unequal country in the world. Due to this, a number of people turn to crime and rob other people.
That is true.
Sometimes this goes south and they kill the person that they're robbing.
Yeah.
Right? Farmers are isolated, which makes them easier targets than people in cities or suburbs where neighbors can come help you fight off robbers.
Yeah.
Right? You're just there with your family on the farm alone.
Yeah.
Right? Added to this, non-white farmers are also killed, which should tell you that this is not a racial attack. Right?
Yeah.
There's just a disproportionate number of white people who are farmers compared to the demographics of our country. So that's why it looks racially skewed.
Yeah. Okay.
Farm murders are roughly 1% of the total number of murders in South Africa. Not 1% of crime, 1% of murder.
Okay.
Now, although this conspiracy theory is false that white people are being targeted, people are still dying on farms.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
In the same way, people dying in other areas of the country is a problem.
Yeah.
This may sound counterintuitive, but I believe the solution to this is to create a more equal society.
Yeah.
If you think about it, middle-class people very rarely steal money.
That
it's
is true.
It's either the poor and the very wealthy that rob people, right?
Yeah.
If we created more well-paying jobs and created programs to educate poverty-stricken people so they can get those roles, then poverty will decrease and therefore robberies will decrease as people won't need to steal.
Makes sense to me.
I think given the choice of working a job that pays a decent wage and robbing people, most people would choose working the job as it's much safer, right?
Yeah.
If you're robbing somebody, that person could have a gun and they shoot you.
Yeah.
This is right. Most people. Okay, so now I don't blame AfriForum for pushing this theory.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's good, but these people are white supremacists, right? It's their job to promote conspiracy theories like this. Like, I'd be shocked if they didn't do this. This is what. If we go to their about section, this is what they're about, right? I'm disappointed. Well, disappointed isn't the right word because I don't really give a shit, right?
Okay.
If I were a DA voter,
Yes.
which I am definitely not,
Okay.
I would be disappointed and embarrassed at this reaction from the DA.
Okay.
So again, I don't really care what the DA does.
Yeah.
But if I were a supporter, I'd be, like I said, embarrassed.
Yeah. Okay.
My assumption is that they're doing this because in the last election, an even more deranged right-wing party came along called Action SA, and they took a number of votes away from the DA. And this is their play to win those voters back.
Okay.
But that's just my brainstorming. You know,
Okay.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
The next story is there's a taxi quote-unquote strike in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to clarify for our international listeners that when we say taxi, we don't mean like the yellow cabs in New York City.
Yeah.
We're more referring to what you would call a minibus or a shuttle. And they're mainly used by poor people, as it is much more affordable than a bus or a train.
Yeah.
Added to this, we don't have as many buses and trains as compared to a first world country. So there are certain areas that can only be reached via taxi.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you don't have a car.
Yeah.
Which a poor person was much less likely to have a car.
Yeah.
Which is why the taxi is important for them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying this so you understand that taxis are a huge part of how the country runs.
Yeah.
If the taxis get shut down, then a large number of people won't be able to get to work or wherever they need to be.
Yeah.
Now, this is an extremely bad thing, as a country should not be so reliant on one type of transportation.
Yeah.
For example, if something happens like this.
This is the exact scenario about why it's a bad thing.
Right. This has also caused both taxi drivers and the institutions governing them to act with impunity, right? You frequently see taxi drivers breaking the rules of the road.
Almost constantly.
On Thursday, SANTACO, which stands for the South African National Taxi Council,
Okay.
which I think is a union, but I'm unsure, as their website describes them as, quote, an empowered, organized, and unified body regulating and representing a democratic, accountable, and professional taxi industry that serves all South Africans in an affordable, safe, and reliable mode of public transport, meeting and setting the standards within the public transport industry, end quote. So, at no point do they use the word union. This doesn't fit the description of a union.
Yeah.
But they're the ones who are negotiating on behalf of the taxi drivers.
So they're kind of acting as a union.
Yes, but I'm not sure if they are. Right. Or, you know, that they fit the formal definition of a union.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fine that they, but, right. If they're not a union, they don't have the power to declare a strike.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, right, they took the decision to stop all taxi operations on Thursday in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
They are unhappy as the city of Cape Town has decided to impound vehicles of motorists who disregard road rules such as overloading and failing to stop when instructed to by a traffic officer, rather than issue fines. I hate to agree with the DA, who are the people in charge of Cape Town, but this is completely rational.
Yeah.
If you give them a fine, they can just pay it and get back to breaking the law.
Yeah.
If your taxi will be impounded, that's a far bigger deterrent.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what the change is. There was already a law that said you can't do this, but the punishment was a fine.
Yeah.
The only thing they're changing is instead of a fine, you will be impounded.
Yeah.
Which,
Completely reasonable.
the taxi people were very upset.
Yeah.
Right? So what is a strike?
Like, I guess picketing for something you want.
Yes, but what I mean is a strike is when you withhold your labor.
Right. Yeah.
You don't do work that
Yes.
you're at your company to do.
Yeah.
Because your union has organized a strike.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
What's been happening in the last couple of days has been taxi drivers have been setting fire to buses.
Oh.
They shot a bus driver dead.
Oh my
and
goodness.
other numerous acts of violence.
This
has
not
also
good.
caused a number of people to be without transport. And we saw some harrowing videos of a mother walking the streets at night and crying while searching for a child who never came home, as he usually comes via taxi. Right? There are certain times when I'm in favor of violence to advance your goals, but this is not one of those times.
Yeah.
This is violence towards fellow working class people.
Yeah.
Right? I just hope that they can come to an agreement soon, as this is a horrific situation all around.
Yeah.
Anyway, some lighter news.
Okay.
Former President Donald J. Trump was indicted on Tuesday in connection with his widespread efforts to overturn the 2020 election following a sprawling federal investigation into his attempts to cling to power after losing the presidency. The indictment, filed by the special counsel Jack Smith in Federal District Court in Washington, accuses Mr. Trump of 3 conspiracies. 1, to defraud the United States. 2, a second, to obstruct an official government proceeding, the certification of the Electoral College vote, and a third, to deprive people of a civil right, the right to have their votes counted. Mr. Trump was also charged with the 4th count of obstructing or attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. Each of these conspiracies, which built on the widespread mistrust the defendant was creating through pervasive and destabilizing lies about the election fraud, targeted a bedrock function of the United States federal government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of a presidential election, the indictment said. The charges signify an extraordinary moment in United States history. A former president in the midst of a campaign to return to the White House being charged over attempts to use the levers of government power to subvert democracy and remain in office against the will of voters. Now, this is the 3rd indictment overall,
Yes.
and the 2nd since this podcast has been on the air. Just to remind you, the first indictment was about paying hush money to the porn star Stormy Daniels, which wasn't that hectic, right?
No.
The second was mishandling of classified documents where he left them around his house, including on the toilet.
Some light reading while you take a shit.
Yeah, some people have magazines, some people have classified documents. You know, it's only H's that are trying to bring him down, right? But like I said during his second indictment, he can still run for president from prison.
Yeah.
And the right wing will take this as proof that, you know, Joe Brandon is a communist who's jailing his political enemies like Joseph Stalin.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they shouldn't indict him.
Yes.
He's done something wrong. He should be indicted.
Yes.
I'm saying we shouldn't get too excited because once he's president, he can just pardon himself.
That is true.
Right. If this were something that discredited Trump,
Yes.
then I would say it's a good thing. But him being jailed by the Democrats, his supporters will just see that as further confirmation that he was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? So his enemies had to, you know, compromise him to a permanent end.
Yeah.
Right? But there's, what was I going to say?
There's something.
Never mind. Let's just move on.
Okay.
I'll come back to it if I remember.
Okay.
So Banyana made it to the round of 16,
Yeah.
but lost to the Netherlands at the 2023 Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
So I missed the first game, but then watched the remaining 2 group stage matches, and then the round of 16 game.
Yeah.
And I believe that the coach Desiree Ellis is to blame.
Okay.
So they're playing a physical, high-pressing type of football.
Yeah.
This takes a toll on the players, both physically as they're tired and mentally as they can't maintain the concentration for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's important that you make use of your substitutions to keep the team fresh and to tweak the tactics depending on how the game is going.
Yeah.
In the game against Argentina, we were 2-0 up.
Yes.
And she still kept on all the attackers instead of bringing on an additional defensive midfield to keep control of the ball in the midfield.
Yeah.
Argentina then went on to equalize 2-2 because the coach did not react when they lost control of the midfield.
Yeah.
So, like roughly around an hour, they started losing control of the midfield.
Yeah.
In the 70th minute, Argentina scored the first, and in the 80th, they scored the second.
Yeah.
So if she had acted when she saw like they're losing control, she could have prevented that.
Yeah.
Right. Because she had 2 strikers and 2 wingers. There was really no need. Like I said, they were 2-0 up.
Yeah.
In the game against Italy, it was the 85th minute and she had only made one substitution. Luckily, they were able to hold on to win the game. But now the whole team is extremely tired because you've run them into the ground. And in the game against the Netherlands this morning, everyone looked extremely tired.
Yeah.
In a tournament setting where there's games every 4 or 5 days, you can't keep playing the same players for more than 80 minutes and expect them to maintain their performance levels.
Yeah.
Secondly, the marking at set pieces was atrocious.
Yeah.
Nearly every corner the opposition had a free header. That is entirely down to the coaching.
Yeah.
Thirdly, the person I think not to blame is the keeper. Her name is Caitlin Swart.
Yeah.
There's a narrative that she was chosen due to political reasons. Apparently, the president of SAFA, Danny Jordan, forced Desiree Ellis to play Swart. And there's a better goalkeeper on the bench that is feuding with Danny Jordan.
Yeah.
So that better goalkeeper on the bench was advocating for SAFA paying the women's team more money.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay,
apparently Danny Jordan is always fighting with her, and he's the one who forced the coach to bench her. Right?
Okay, yeah.
I can't speak about the reserve keeper as I've never seen her play.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that Swart only made one mistake the whole tournament and was mostly decent.
Yeah.
She made a bunch of saves at crucial moments and her distribution was fine. The amount of hate I've been seeing online for Caitlin Swart has been bizarre.
Yeah.
Right? People have just really been going after her.
Yeah.
Her name has been the number one trending topic every time there's a Banyana game.
Yeah.
And like she didn't do anything wrong and it's just we need to replace her. It's just bizarre. It's not her fault. Like, say this is true that Danny Jordan forced Desiree Ellis to play her.
Yeah.
It's not Swart's fault.
No.
Why are these people coming after her?
I have no idea.
Right. All that being said, however, I'm still incredibly proud. The men's team, Bafana, have qualified for 3 World Cups.
Yeah.
And one of those times we only qualified because we were the hosts of said World Cup. Right? In each of those 3 World Cups, we never made it out of the group stage.
Yeah.
Banyana reaching the last 16 is a huge accomplishment, especially since they don't receive nearly as much money as the men's team does.
Yeah.
Lastly, I want to say that you can see the talent on display in this team. It's just the coach mismanaging them.
Sound familiar?
No.
Okay.
Who are you talking about?
Just like if it sounds familiar about anything in general, any teams.
Are you talking about Liverpool?
No, I would never.
But like, yeah, I guess so. But there's a far more like bigger culprits in the league than Liverpool.
Is there? Well, yeah.
Like David Moyes.
Yeah.
You know, they got so lucky winning that conference league, right? Because they were having an atrocious season, and this they in the Europa League now. That rescued everything. He's out of his depth, right? I don't mean to be rude to him, and I also don't mean to be rude to Desiree Ellis, right?
Yeah.
Because the commentators was just saying that, you know, she faced a huge uphill battle.
Yeah.
She was like one of the pioneers of getting women's football, going in South Africa.
Yeah.
And as a player, she didn't have too many opportunities. In total, she played something like 30 games for Banyana.
Yeah.
Whereas that's something that an American player would play in a year.
Yeah.
So over her like 15-year career, she only played 30 games.
Yeah.
So very disappointing.
Yeah.
And not because of her, because of the infrastructure around her.
Yeah.
So she's done a lot to get women's football in South Africa on the map. And here I am trashing her. But yeah, I have to be honest, that team could have done far better.
Yeah.
Even though, like, you know, people say, well, you've never made it to the round of 16. You know, beggars can't be choosers. But genuinely, they were better than the Netherlands team today.
Yeah.
It's just, one, they got way tired in the second half. They couldn't maintain their levels.
Yeah.
And the other things I said.
Yeah.
Like, they conceded a goal in the first 10 minutes to a corner.
Yeah.
And, hopefully the next World Cup. Or do they have AFCON?
They have WAFCON.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know too much about the women's game.
Yeah, they've got WAFCON. So
yeah.
soon.
Hopefully they win that.
Yeah.
So, Do you have any news?
I do have some news.
Alright, well, go on.
Have you heard of LK99?
No, but as you were saying that, I thought you were going to say Al Qaeda. Yeah, I know about Al Qaeda. I was there during 2001. But yeah, LK whatever 9.
LK99.
99.
It was created by reacting lead sulfate and copper phosphorus, right? So
This is some nerd shit. That's what I'm hearing.
This is some proper nerd shit.
Alright, well, tell the listeners.
It is.
They're gonna understand, not me.
It's rumored to be the first ever room temperature superconductor, right?
Oh, I've seen people making jokes about this. I don't know what it means.
So basically, a superconductor is
Hot.
well, no, not
Cold.
Yes, cold. So it's very, very cold, right? So
You need to use gloves to touch it.
what?
You need to use gloves to touch it.
Yes.
Woolly gloves.
Yes. Mittens even. But anyway, right. Usually superconductors are like super, super cold, but they have no resistance through them, right? So you can pass a current through just fine.
Oh no, that's bad. No resistance.
It's a good thing for electricity.
Oh, I greatly misjudged the situation. The exact opposite. What did you say?
They have no resistance.
No resistance. Yeah. I just assumed resistance was a bad thing. You know. You carry on.
So it's great to have. Well, so because you've got the superconductors that you have to have really, really cold, you obviously can't use them in things like power lines and stuff like that, because it would be really, really expensive to keep massive amounts of it super cold. Yeah. But now with a room temperature superconductor, you can then make things like power lines and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know about that, because like it's still outside, like under the direct sun, right?
Yeah.
Room temperature would be inside our house.
Yeah.
Like if it's a telephone line underneath the sun, wouldn't that still be quite warm? Like
Yes.
I guess they'd put like rubber around it or whatever to keep it cool.
So like
maybe some sunscreen.
Rub sunscreen on the pylons every day.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yes. But I guess room temperature is way better than extremely cold.
Yeah.
It's still a huge advancement, so I don't know why
Yeah.
I'm talking shit. But yeah. What are other practical things? How does this affect me? What can I do?
So, I mean, in theory, it could mean...
Can I go to the moon? Yes
maybe.
or no?
Yeah, yes.
I'm much more interested.
Yeah. But it'll mean things like much less energy loss through, like the big pylon cables.
Because there's no resistance.
Yes.
Alright.
So possibly an end to load shedding.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of like the main thing as a South African that I would take away from that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. In other news, Paul Rubens.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
I mentioned him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's not my first first time encountering him.
Yeah.
That was my first time seeing him in that character.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
I'd never seen Pee Wee Herman before. I saw Paul Rubens on, was it 30 Rock?
I have no idea.
It's either 30 Rock or Arrested Development, where he has a very funny, cameo appearance.
Okay.
I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. He has unfortunately
Sorry.
passed.
Sorry. Look, I remember now. He plays like inbred people.
Yes.
Like the European royalty.
Yes.
They're like
right. Yes. Yes.
So he plays like a Habsburg prince.
He's got the weird jaw.
It's so funny. But yeah, like I said, I've just seen a bunch of tributes pouring out for him. That he's a very formative comedian in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in 1991, he was arrested at a porn theater.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
For like public lewdness, and he was branded as like a sex criminal, which a lot of people took that to mean that he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
But it's not. He was just in a porno theater and he was jacking off.
Yeah.
You know?
As you do.
No, because like you live in a world with the internet.
Yes.
Before the internet, you had to either get a magazine,
Yes,
or
or go to a theater,
or go to a porno theater. Right? So, like, I'm sympathetic to his situation. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But he was arrested and he was labeled a sex criminal. So, a lot of people, like, he didn't do his act for like 8 years or something like that.
That's a long time.
Yes, but eventually he came back. And you know, yeah. Well, you said that stuff to read. Sorry I interrupted your whole thing.
So I mean, we've kind of like glossed over it a little bit, but he's unfortunately passed away at the age of 70 this past week
Due to cancer.
Yes.
Which he didn't want to
disclose.
Tell other people. He was fighting it privately.
Yeah.
So that sucks.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Rest in peace, Pee Wee Herman.
R.I.P.
Alright, yeah, that's my news done.
Alright, so can we go into the context of this movie?
Yeah.
So, well, let me just check the time. Half an hour. Not bad. I
Yeah.
thought it would be longer.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
We spoke
actually.
about Mission Impossible, Barbie, and Oppenheimer, harkening back to 3 separate eras of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So this is our final episode of the 3, so I think I can give the results.
Okay.
In terms of box office at time of writing, as expected, Barbie came in first with 823 million.
Yeah.
Against a budget of 300 million including marketing. Right?
That's a pretty tidy profit.
Essentially 500 or $500 million in profit. Right? And it's still not out of theaters. They can still make more. But the point being, it's pretty good. Right? Like I said, kids' movies or movies marketed as kids' movies would obviously do far better than a 3-hour biopic about Oppenheimer, right?
That is true.
Some weird nerd scientist. I believe it has the juice to hit 1 billion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which would be a welcome boost for Warner Brothers, as The Flash, Shazam 2, and Black Adam were all flops.
Yeah.
Right? In second was Mission Impossible with 452 million.
Yeah.
Against a budget of 300 million, excluding marketing.
Okay.
Which I'd estimate to be between 150 and 200 million.
Okay.
So, the reason it cost 300 million was because they had to do a bunch of reshoots. And the pandemic kind of fucked up their shooting schedule.
Yeah.
So this was shooting during the height of the pandemic.
Right, yeah.
So it would have cost between 150 and 200 million, but they had to spend that extra 100 million because, you know, challenges associated with that.
Yeah.
So I would estimate the marketing budget to be similar to the production budget without the extra 100 million.
Right, yeah.
So all in all, I think the cost of the movie could be about 500 million, and it's only made 450.
Yeah.
So they're 450 in the red.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a huge disappointment and a flop on its own terms.
Yeah.
But especially as the prior movie in the franchise did nearly 800 million.
Yeah.
And the two prior to that made close to 700 million.
Yeah.
So this is, you know, at least 250 less than the past couple.
Yeah.
Right. In third was Oppenheimer with 425 million against a budget of 100 million excluding marketing.
Yeah.
Right. So it should be roughly 200 million altogether.
Okay.
So they made 225 million in profit.
Again, pretty tidy profit.
Yeah. So in terms of raw numbers, Mission Impossible made more money, but had larger costs, so made less profit than Oppenheimer. Like I mentioned in an episode a while back, they totally fucked themselves by choosing to release now.
Yeah.
Towards the end of August, when the IMAX screens opened up from Oppenheimer, they had a free run, but chose to release in July.
Yeah.
We mentioned this way back, but
we did.
Oppenheimer planted their flag in the sand that they made a deal with all the IMAX places that, listen, we're going to run this movie for this amount of time in IMAX.
Yeah.
And then Mission Impossible decided to release 2 weeks before that.
Yeah.
Of course, like, you know, once you lose your, what's the word? Like, more expensive screens.
Yeah.
Because IMAX is more expensive than a regular screen. So you're losing a huge portion of money that could come just because
You chose.
you chose poorly.
Yeah.
Right. There was really no reason they needed to release now. Like I said, this movie was done quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if they had delayed it a few weeks, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Right.
Where am I now? Right. Spoiler alert. In terms of quality, I thought Oppenheimer blew these other two out of the water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have Oppenheimer as a 10, Barbie as a 7, and Mission Impossible as a 6.
Okay.
The latter two being disappointments. I expected much more from both, and frankly, with Guardians of the Galaxy, Indiana Jones, and Shazam 2 all being mid-tier, this has been an incredibly disappointing year for me.
Reasonable.
I was going to say I've given out the same number of 10s as Trump has indictments. But then I remembered Avatar, which also, because I kind of count that as last year.
Yeah.
So I don't, think about it as a this year movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so this is a biopic.
Yeah.
I believe the first biopic we've covered on this show. And I don't go to the movies for accuracy.
Okay.
I believe that not only can you fudge the details, you should fudge the details to tell a more interesting story.
Okay.
All the way up to and including telling an entirely false story.
But then, is it still a biopic?
Yes.
Isn't a biopic like based off of someone's life?
Yeah, that person is still in the movie. It's just a fake story.
But then wouldn't
This
that...
happened last year with... Do you know who Weird Al Yankovic is?
Yes.
So they made a biopic about Weird Al Yankovic, and
Okay.
everything in that movie is false. Nothing happened. That's the joke of the movie. That like you're like, what the fuck? Did this really happen? You Google and it's like, no, nothing of the sort happened. Right. But my point being, I'm happy for the artist to take creative liberties with the text.
Yeah.
If like there's a meeting that happened 2 years in the future, but you move up the timeline so it's now,
Yeah.
then because it makes more sense for the flow of the story, then that's fine with me.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? There's stuff like that where I just trust that the director will, make the best decision possible.
Yeah.
Right? If I want to know how something actually went down, I will watch a documentary or read a book.
Okay.
That's where I expect accuracy.
Yeah.
Like if you're not presenting things actually, that's when I have a problem, right?
Okay,
As
yeah.
opposed to a fictional film, even a biopic.
Okay.
That being said, I understand other people don't view biopics in the same way, right?
I am one of those people.
Right?
Yeah.
And they have complaints about the accuracy of this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to address those complaints in what I want to say about this movie because again, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Right? It's irrelevant to me, so
Yeah.
I have nothing to answer for.
Okay, fair enough. Reasonable.
Secondly, I'm not interested in Robert Oppenheimer, the person,
Okay.
in the slightest, right? So I will not be giving context to him. I'm only interested in what Christopher Nolan is trying to say about him within the text of the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Speaking of which, Christopher Nolan is a British filmmaker that is a brand unto himself, in
Yeah.
the same way we spoke about Tom Cruise a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And also, like Tom Cruise, Nolan is a big believer in the theatrical experience.
Yeah.
And, cinema in general.
Yeah.
We spoke about this last week, but Warner Brothers choosing to release Tenet as a day-and-date release really pissed Nolan off. So much so that he stopped working with them and made Oppenheimer at Universal.
Damn.
Something I didn't mention last week, but I've said in the past, is that I believe Universal is very creator-friendly and has an eye for talent. For example, poaching Robert Eggers from A24 and Jordan Peele from Blumhouse.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for their movies going forward. I think we mentioned this in the Renfield episode.
Yeah,
that,
briefly.
They got Nicolas Cage in this movie.
Yeah.
With who's the guy who wrote it? He wrote The Walking Dead.
I'm not sure.
Robert Kirkman. All right. Anyway, But also, like I said last week, Warner Brothers releasing Barbie on the same day as Oppenheimer was a massive fuck you to Christopher Nolan. Right? The magic of the internet somehow turned that fuck you into free marketing for both Barbie and Oppenheimer, thus creating the Barbenheimer phenomenon. Now, we didn't speak about this last week, but in the last week, Japanese Twitter has found the Barbenheimer memes. And they became very upset about it, right?
Okay.
Not that people are making memes about Oppenheimer, because that's the subject of the movie.
Yes.
They more have a problem with Barbie being,
Related to
yes,
Oppenheimer.
the nuclear bombs.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
So they've started photoshopping 9/11 stuff. Like Japanese characters with 9/11 stuff. But the thing is, there's a cultural misunderstanding going on.
Yes.
People in America love making fun of 9/11. There's a lot of people, like the Japanese are expecting everyone to be upset. People are having a great time. Frankly, it's the best time.
Like, all right, yeah, this is cool. This is a meme that works. Nice. Well done, Japan.
You're threatening a chocolate addict with being taken to Willy Wonka's factory. It's like you're punishing somebody by giving them exactly what they want. Right. So yeah, continuing the idea of him being a believer in the theatrical experience, Nolan is an innovator and pioneer in certain areas, such as IMAX, but is a Luddite in certain other areas, such as refusing to film on digital, being hesitant to ADR dialogue, and only filming on film.
Yeah.
Now, brace yourself, listeners. I'm about to criticize James Cameron.
Huh?
Listeners, if you have a child, please cover their ears so they don't get too upset. Big Jim loves IMAX too much. I mean, Big Jim is too in love with 3D. Sorry. Right? Don't get me wrong, he loves IMAX as well, but I believe Nolan is correct in pursuing IMAX only, not 3D.
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember in the Avatar episode I said the first Avatar was responsible for...
Your disdain for 3D.
No, just a bunch of people trying to cash in on the 3D phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
But none of them did it as well as Avatar. So I just have this negative connotation with 3D movies, and I really dislike wearing the glasses, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I much prefer IMAX.
Yeah.
This was my favorite theater experience this year.
Yeah, same actually.
Because, like, it was my 8th or 9th viewing of Avatar on the 1st of January. So, diminishing returns afterwards. But, anyway, back to Nolan.
Yeah.
He's an extremely methodical and precise filmmaker.
Okay.
So much so that a lot of people claim that his movies are too robotic and lack emotion.
Okay.
I agree with this summation, right?
Yeah.
Defenders of Nolan point to Interstellar in particular. We have the scene where Matthew McConaughey sees the video of his daughter grown up and he starts crying. Have you seen Interstellar?
No. It's on my watch list.
So, they're astronauts in space.
Yes.
And they go down to a particular planet where time moves differently.
Yes.
So what they thought was going to be like a 3-hour mission
Turned into a lot longer.
turned into a 21-year mission, right?
That's a lot longer. Okay,
So when he comes back, he finds that his daughter has sent a bunch of messages.
Yeah.
And she's grown up. Her entire life has gone past, right?
Ah.
He missed his entire daughter's childhood and, growing up.
Yeah.
And he bursts into tears, and McConaughey is, is
Oh.
totally fucked up.
Oh.
Right? People love that, right?
Yeah.
I say that's the perfect scene that proves my point.
Okay.
I recognize that this is a father who's missed his daughter's entire life.
Yeah.
But I don't care, right? I felt nothing at that moment.
Okay.
So, again, there's just some people who feel emotion, some people who don't when they watch a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Either one is fine. I'm just saying, for me, I don't feel very emotional.
Yeah.
Right? That being said, I don't view this as criticism.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with this. I feel the same way about Stanley Kubrick.
Okay.
Nolan just isn't the type of director to make a movie that will make me cry, and that's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I can still appreciate the technical work he's done.
Yeah.
Right, the craft of the movie.
Yeah.
Even if I don't feel particularly attached to the characters, but other people view this as criticism, and they, Nolan defenders get very upset about this. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't really matter.
Fair enough.
The other main criticism of him is that he doesn't handle female characters well.
Okay.
They usually have very little to do except die.
Yeah.
For example, Marion Cotillard in Inception and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Maggie Gyllenhaal in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Lots more. Like
all those other people.
Most of his movies have somebody dying. Memento doesn't carry. What's her name? She's in The Matrix.
I don't know.
Damn it. Alright, whatever. Right? I agree with this, and it's up to him if he wants to change it, right?
Yeah.
Like I've maintained on the show, an artist should just do what they want.
Yeah.
If Christopher Nolan wants to make movies where women have little to do, that's his right.
Yeah.
And if an audience member thinks a certain thing should have been added, that's their problem.
Yeah.
Right? They can take away points from their rating of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. That being said, if Christopher Nolan hears this criticism and, believes he can make a better movie by taking this criticism into account,
Yeah.
then this would have helped him.
Yeah.
So these people are correct to voice their criticism. It's up to Christopher Nolan whether he views that criticism as valid or not.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah. But I also agree. He gives women very little to do. Even in this movie, like Florence Pugh has very, very little to do.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt has one scene where she's like making fun of the grammar of some guy.
Yeah.
But she's mainly just alcoholic.
Yeah. She's pretty much just an alcoholic.
Slightly, well, she's like in the corner of the camera and she's just taking a big swig of wine.
Yeah.
That's all his female characters have to do in this movie.
Yeah.
So while I agree with that, it's his. Maybe he is a misogynist. Maybe. Anyway, my thoughts on the movie.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, I saw this movie at the Eastgate IMAX. And this theater is incredible.
Yeah.
Right? The screen is massive and you truly get immersed into the visuals. But also the sound shakes the whole cinema.
Yeah.
I felt tremors when the bomb went off.
Same.
Right.
Yeah. It was actually my first IMAX experience.
Did you go to Eastgate as well?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. I went to Mall of Africa.
But still,
Yeah.
IMAX.
Still IMAX. Yeah.
Well, I googled, right, and the Eastgate is the biggest. It's bigger than the Mall of Africa.
Oh. I thought they were just like standardized.
No,
Huh.
each one has a different dimension
Oh.
for each.
Cool.
Yeah, I just saw it online,
Huh.
but I don't really care as long as it's big enough to see. Like who's fighting over a couple of centimeters here and there.
Not me.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to mention something I didn't write down, but it's a criticism that I have.
Okay.
I find his movies lack color. I think I've mentioned this to you before, right?
Yeah.
Up until Dunkirk, his previous movies are very grey and like. I just like color in movies, right?
Yeah.
Now, with Interstellar, the point of Interstellar is that the planet is dead.
Yes.
So I understand it's an artistic choice in that movie to make, things look bleak and dreary.
Yeah.
But even the Batman movies I thought were also very muted color palette.
Yeah.
Very, like, dark colors, very... There's just no, like, fun and whimsy in his movies.
Yeah.
Right? And then he makes Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Which also very... Let's say a singular color palette. That movie is very, very green.
Yeah.
Right? So, although it's not, James Cameron with Avatar, with Date Night where all the colors are going on. it's he's at least learning to incorporate colors.
Yeah.
Then I thought Tenet was a much bigger step forward.
Yeah.
Where he's playing with colors a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're saying, have you seen Tenet?
I
Stop the bullshit, man. You've never seen Tenet.
I watched the first 10 minutes of Tenet in reverse. Because someone posted Tenet in reverse.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Alright, you call yourself a film fan.
Yes.
Jesus. Anyway, he uses a lot more colors, and I thought this movie as well, similar to Dunkirk, even though it's not bright colors popping all the time, it's still like gorgeously shot.
Okay.
So even though they're not bright colors, it's still like beautiful.
Yeah.
As opposed to like The Dark Knight, which was, I don't know why I'm singling out The Dark Knight, but you know, a lot of his earlier movies have that very muted palette.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sound as a whole is outstanding in this film. It's done by Ludwig Göransson, who I first knew as a Childish Gambino collaborator. Right? He then did the music for the TV show Community.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously Donald Glover was on that show, so I assume he just brought him over to work on the show as well.
Yeah.
Right? He eventually went into movies, culminating in working with Nolan on Tenet.
Yeah.
Right? And now renewing that partnership for this movie. I'm a big fan of his work, and I think he works better than Hans Zimmer, which was which was Nolan's previous music collaborator.
Yes.
Ludwig brings a more modern style of music compared to Zimmer, which I just prefer.
Yeah.
It's only recently that I've begun to realize how much good score adds to the quality of the movie.
Yeah.
I know, I kept, like, I've mentioned this a few times.
Yeah.
And recently for me is 2021, so it's like 2 years ago now. But yeah, it's still quite recent. That, like, I kind of get pissed off now when a movie uses, like, songs instead of
like an original
a score.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Because, like, you know, like with Guardians of Galaxy, I don't get too upset because that's the point. It's his mother gave him the
little MP.
the cassette. Or,
Yeah.
did you say MP3?
No, I would never.
She gave him a cassette.
Yes.
And that's his link with her, and that plays throughout the movie, and that's their emotional connection. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But movies where they just randomly play music for the sake of it.
It's like the Mario movie from this year.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But it weirdly like dates the movie. You know, like you just picked whatever was the hot song of the time.
Yeah.
In 10 years, nobody's gonna remember this.
Yeah.
Or
it depends.
A kid watching this won't have the same connotations this song is trying to convey.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, a score with just random instruments that doesn't, you know, it's much more timeless.
Yeah.
That's really what I think older movies have as an advantage compared to newer movies. That they utilize scores much more than
songs.
Yes.
Yeah. Soundtracks. Yeah.
Let me... Do you know who Bernard Herrmann is?
No.
To me, the best... Maybe second behind John Williams.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Music guy for movies.
Composer.
Right? He did Citizen Kane.
Okay.
Widely considered the best movie ever made. I spoke about this a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe months now.
It's probably
I
months.
really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
Again, fantastic. Again, it's top of the pile.
Yeah.
Right? He did the soundtrack for Vertigo.
Okay.
Alfred Hitchcock's most famous movie. Well, Psycho is probably his most famous movie.
Yeah.
It's probably his best movie. People will debate.
Yeah.
Right? But Vertigo is probably his best movie. And Bernard Herrmann did the score for that.
Okay.
And his final composition was Taxi Driver.
Oh.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
He completed the score, submitted it, and he died like on his when he got home that evening.
Oh my goodness.
So literally the day of his death was when he handed in the Taxi Driver script. So yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, Citizen Kane was what, either 1931 or 41. I can't remember right now. Right.
Yeah.
And Taxi Driver was 76.
Yeah.
So easily like a 30-40 year career.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would suggest that you look up, you know, the works of Bernard Herrmann. The
Well,
Taxi
the-
Driver score is my favorite,
Okay.
but the others also bang.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for that digression. Back to
Okay.
this. So the acting in this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everyone is pretty good, but the person I want to give particular praise to is Downey,
Yeah.
RDJ.
Oh.
He was released from the clutches of the evil Marvel Corporation. And he's finally able to express himself instead of just turning to the camera and saying a sarcastic quip. At time of writing, he is my front runner for Best Supporting Actor.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, like I mentioned last week, Oscar bait movies are released in December.
Yeah.
So it's still quite early, but I'm saying this to say I was blown away by Downey in this. They keep flashing back to the scene where Oppenheimer humiliated Strauss. And every time they replay that scene, there's a small but powerful change to the expression on his face, depending on who's recording that scene.
Yeah.
So when Oppenheimer records the scene, Strauss is like happy,
Yeah.
he's smiling. When Strauss is recording the scene, he's fucking furious.
Yeah.
He has contempt on his face, bro. But yeah, and it's so small, but it's so, like I said, powerful.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I also have to say that Casey Affleck is great in this.
Okay.
His handful of minutes on screen were terrifying.
That is true.
You have other really bad guys on screen, but he's the only one you feel like there's an aura of evil around him.
Yeah.
Right?
There's just something about him.
That being said, Casey Affleck has been incredibly accused of sexual assault.
Huh.
The reason we haven't boycotted this film is because he plays such a small part. It's not like The Flash where Ezra Miller is the main character. If Casey Affleck played Oppenheimer, I would have boycotted this movie.
Okay.
You know, even if it is a Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Right. That being said, I've read a lot of people online that say it's actually Cillian Murphy or Matt Damon or David Krumholtz who is the standout. I just think it's a sign of a well-acted movie when people are arguing which performance was best.
I mean,
and all of them have a legitimate
Yeah.
case. Right?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It really is.
So again, Downey's the one that stood out to me, but I'm glad that there's discussion that other people are saying, no. Look at this guy. Or look at that guy, you know.
You need to watch the movie like 7 times and each time focus on a different character.
I was really thinking about that. I was just going to say this. That's the thing I forgot, right? So I was thinking about watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this week.
Okay.
Right, for
For
next
our
week.
next part.
But I really want to watch Oppenheimer again. I had such an amazing experience. Like, I just want to relive it again.
Yeah.
And well, I'm going to mention it just now, but I was late to the movie.
Oh no.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, it's actually the directly next point. Unfortunately, I missed the first 15 minutes because the queue for popcorn was so long.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
been a long time since I saw a theater this full.
It was packed.
Yeah. Both Barbie and Oppenheimer were just... They were doing gangbusters, right? Everyone was there.
I went on a Tuesday afternoon and it was full.
Bro, when you're trying to book seats, every showing is booked.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, yeah, now it's been a few weeks, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Things will be a little bit more chill.
Probably.
Right. I had to Google what happens in this bit, the first, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Apparently, the movie starts off with the quote, Prometheus brought fire to humans and was punished.
Yeah.
Or something similar.
Yeah.
This is very obvious. In the Greek myth, Zeus hid fire away from humans, but Prometheus stole it back and returned it to the humans.
Yeah.
As punishment, Zeus nailed him to the top of a mountain and then sent an eagle to eat his immortal liver,
Yeah.
which constantly replenished itself.
Yeah.
Similarly, Oppenheimer gave humans the bomb, and his guilt/regret eats him up every day.
Yeah.
This is extremely basic shit. I'm only mentioning it because everyone may not know the story of Prometheus.
Yeah.
Nolan is setting up the main theme of this movie, which is again guilt/regret with that
Yeah.
quote. And the book that this was based on was called The American Prometheus.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
again, this is like baby's first symbolism.
Symbolism 101.
Yeah. So, in fact, the one thing I knew about Oppenheimer prior to this movie is that he said, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds, because he felt guilt and regret for making the bomb.
Yeah.
Which is why, as soon as this movie was announced, I wrote the following sentence on a piece of paper.
Okay.
This is Christopher Nolan's mea culpa for making The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Do you know what a mea culpa is?
No. It sounds like a body part.
Mea culpa is a phrase originating from Latin that means my fault or my mistake.
Oh.
And is an acknowledgement of having done wrong.
I see. Okay.
This is another very obvious take that many people have had, but nevertheless, this is my... later on in this, I'll show you where my value add is coming.
Okay.
My unique... Folks, this one man has one unique thing to add to this theory. Right? But we'll get to that when I do it right.
Right.
In the context section, I mentioned that Nolan is a cinema purist.
Yeah.
And what has been the thing that has been the cause of cinema being in a bad place for the last couple of years?
Yeah. Oh, wait. COVID.
No, superhero movies.
Oh.
Right? That is the whole meta now, right?
Right. Okay, yeah.
Superhero movies never used to be taken seriously until it was legitimized by... The Dark Knight in 2008.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
That was the first time people took superhero movies seriously.
Right.
The Dark Knight being excluded in the nominations for that year's Oscars was the reason the Oscars expanded the Best Picture category to have 10 nominees instead of 5.
Wow.
There was such a backlash to it not being nominated.
Yeah.
Like, because people... Okay, let me just say this.
Right.
I was born in 1997.
Okay.
This movie came out in 2008, so I was 11 years old.
Yes.
This was the best movie I'd ever seen in my life.
Wow.
When I watched it, right? I was like,
okay.
This is the best shit on earth. Why can't everything be like this? Now, as time has gone on and I've seen other things, I realize this is just... Well, we've spoken about this before, right?
Yeah.
This is... The Dark Knight was just Christopher Nolan's take on Heat.
Yeah.
Far better movie.
Right, yeah.
But whatever. Right. My point being... cut to today, and talented directors can't get a movie made unless there's some sort of superhero gimmick involved.
Okay.
I think Nolan looks at this and thinks, I'm the one who fucked this up.
Huh.
Certain people have pushed back on this and said, well, Nolan isn't self-centered enough to think that he alone is responsible for this.
Okay.
I would agree that he isn't self-centered enough to think that he's alone responsible for this.
Okay.
Which is why I think he cast Robert Downey Jr. as Oppenheimer's counterpart, right? Or counterpoint. People will say that it's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Most top actors have been in Marvel movies, and there's a limited pool of top actors to pick from.
That makes sense.
I agree that this is the case with Florence Pugh,
Yeah.
who's Black Widow's sister.
Yeah.
Matt Damon, who's in the Thor movies.
Yeah.
David Desmelchian, who's in the Ant-Man movies.
Yeah.
Those are all coincidences.
Right.
Downey was the face of Marvel from 2008 until 2019 because, yes, The Dark Knight came out in 2008, but
Yes.
what also came out in 2008?
OG Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
They were released within 2 months of each other.
Yeah.
Iron Man came out in May, Dark Knight came out in June.
Yeah.
Not June, July. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I believe that this is deliberate.
Yeah.
Like I said, other people have had this take, but nobody has mentioned Downey as part of the theory.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my value add to this conversation.
Okay.
To say that Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man.
Really? That's
Right.
crazy. I didn't even know that.
The people, they needed me. Nobody would have known this. I boldly stepped forward and said, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Right. The last nod to this theory is that near the end of superhero movies, or in the mid-credits, there's always has to be some sort of setup for the next movie.
Yeah.
For example, Thanos in the end credits of The Avengers.
Yeah.
For the funniest example of this, I always point to The King's Man,
Okay.
which is not a superhero movie, but is based on a comic.
Yeah.
And it's obviously trying to follow the formula of a superhero movie.
Right.
It's set during the World War I, And in the credits, they show a character we saw earlier being introduced as Adolf Hitler. Right? So early in the movie, we didn't realize who he was.
Yeah.
Later, when we see him, somebody like says his name.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's unclear whether or not this was a joke that was like mocking superhero movies,
Yeah.
or they were actually setting up a sequel with Hitler as the villain. Right? The fact that it's unclear and could go either way is not a good sign.
Okay.
I believe in this movie, it's far clearer that Nolan is mocking this by including the reference to John Fitzgerald Kennedy at the end.
Yeah.
Because I have seen people online who are like, oh, I'd love to see a Kennedy movie with Nolan directing, you know, which so would I, but that's not the point. That's beside the point, right? Another point I want to bring up, which may or not be related.
Okay.
Both Dane DeHaan and Eldon Ehrenreich had their reputations diminished by starring in superhero or superhero adjacent movies.
Okay.
Dane DeHaan was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right.
And Eldon Ehrenreich was in Solo, which is a Star Wars movie, which, you know,
Yeah.
Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel. So,
Yes.
Superhero adjacent.
Yeah.
Is Christopher Nolan reclaiming these guys and saying, hey, look, these guys are talented, but you need to give them a good script to perform?
Could be.
It could just be a coincidence, like I said, with Matt Damon and Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
That's why I'm unsure whether or not to include this.
Okay.
Basically, if it turns out to be right, I want to be celebrated. And if it turns out to be false, then I don't want anyone to be mean to me. Right? That's why I haven't included it in the theory, but you know, I just mentioned it in case it turns out to be true. I want a golden statue of me. I want people, you know, 1,000 years from now to like find the ruins and think that I was some sort of god. So yeah, the next scene we see him being bullied at school, and he poisons his teacher's apple, which is hilarious, right? Oppenheimer's grandson,
Yes.
on Twitter said he doubts that story.
Okay.
But the source for that story is Oppenheimer himself.
So who are we trusting?
Yeah.
Him or his grandson?
And anyway, I assume this is some sort of Adam and Eve, symbology.
Yeah.
Once Eve ate the apple, humans were cast out of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
It's similar to both Oppenheimer and Prometheus.
Yeah.
They all did something that can't be undone.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Another read of this movie is that it's about filmmaking.
Okay.
Have you seen Inception?
I have heard of Inception.
Fuck's sake. Oh my god.
It's also on my watch list.
So, in Inception, we have a team of mind thieves.
Yes.
Inception is when they have some sort of technology that puts you in somebody's mind. Right?
Yeah. Right.
But they have a team.
Yes.
And people have taken that movie to be a metaphor for filmmaking.
Okay.
So, this person is the director, this person is the
I see.
whatever, because they all play different roles, and those roles map onto the roles of a filmmaking crew.
Okay. Yeah.
Similarly, in this movie, Oppenheimer's the director,
Yeah.
and he's getting a bunch of people, and they all do a specific function to make a thing.
Right. Yeah.
In their case, it's a bomb.
Yeah.
For Christopher Nolan, it's a movie about a bomb. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, this could be viewed as a movie about filmmaking and the filmmaking process.
Yeah.
Of I assume that Nolan just identified with that message and applied it to his life.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I also think this movie is about cowardice and indecision.
Okay.
There's a number of times in the movie when Oppenheimer is asked a question and he doesn't take a firm stand.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think this is like an indictment of him.
Okay.
And like saying you should have been more forceful with your opinions. You know, you should have put your foot in the ground and not move.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't know.
Okay.
I also have a note here that says "There is crazy."
Okay.
Emily Blunt said something like, you invited my husband on the trip,
Yes.
knowing it wouldn't matter.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this guy's got it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Who is this guy? Because, yeah, you just assume he's a scientist, so he's a fucking nerd. But, yeah, he's got it like that. Family. And he was cheating on her. Right. So, again, I don't want to go through it scene by scene. That I was just giving my thoughts.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
There's another extremely terrifying scene where it's his imagination, right? So we don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
But we imagine she killed herself.
Yes.
Then, out of the corner, we see a black glove-covered hand.
Yeah.
That, like, pushes her.
Yeah.
That's his mind going,
Maybe the government killed
yeah,
him.
maybe she was assassinated by the government.
Yeah.
And this is something called McCarthyism.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
No.
So there was a senator called Eugene McCarthy. Was it Eugene McCarthy? Or maybe Joseph McCarthy?
I feel like Eugene sounds more right.
No,
but I
because
don't
there
know.
was a Eugene McCarthy, but he's a good guy.
Oh.
I think it is a Joseph McCarthy.
Okay.
But he was a huge anti-communist.
Right.
So he just accused a bunch of people of being... anybody he didn't like, he accused of being a communist.
Right.
Which... That's what modern day right wing politics is about. But at this time, he had the power to, shut down people.
Yeah.
So he would like throw suspected communists into jail.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember our discussion last week about free speech,
Yeah.
what is free speech?
It's being able to speak your mind, but not to the extent of hate speech.
It means you can say stuff without the government throwing you in jail for that opinion.
Right.
So just being a communist is an opinion,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the government threw them in jail because of it,
Hmm.
right? Now, the modern day right wing always complains about free speech.
Yeah.
That their free speech is being denied.
Yes.
But if you look at history, historically, it's always been the left wing that's been, their free speech has been trampled upon.
Yeah.
You also look at apartheid era South Africa.
Yeah.
Dissidents were jailed,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So yeah, modern day right wing, they take hate speech, just saying hateful things about gay people and saying, well, that's free speech. No, that's hate speech.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
These people are trying to equate saying whatever you want to this very strict definition of what free speech is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Another thing is with Florence Pugh.
Yes.
She says something like, most of the Communist Party hasn't read
The
book or whatever.
Yeah.
That is Christopher Nolan slicing and dicing you, putting you in the wok and, cooking your ass.
Okay.
How do you identify politically?
How do I identify?
Politically.
I don't know.
What ideology would you say you subscribe to? How would you describe yourself?
I mean, I'm I guess mostly apolitical. I don't particularly subscribe to,
An ideology.
well, socialism to some extent.
There, we caught him, folks. The trap was set and he took the bait.
Okay.
All right. What books have you read?
None of them.
That's what I'm saying. Florence Pugh's character is calling your ass out. She's cutting you up. She's putting you in the pan. She's cooking your fucking ass. She's tossing in some spices, some salt. This was an attack on you, this movie. And I'm not just you.
No, it's actually only me. This movie was made to attack me.
There's a lot of so-called left-wingers
Yes.
that have never read any left-wing theory.
Yes.
They just go from, situation to situation and make up their mind on that situation.
Yeah.
But if you have a coherent politics, aside from, we were speaking about race quotas.
Yes.
And I was saying the choice being put in front of you is, should we have race quotas or shouldn't we have race quotas?
Yes.
There's no good answer.
Yeah.
Because there shouldn't be race quotas. Everybody should have a free chance.
Yes.
But there should be race quotas because
we're very unequal.
This is the apartheid country.
Yeah.
Right?
We kind of did that thing.
Right. For years and years, certain groups were denied access to certain things.
Yeah.
So things need to be done to get those people up to speed, so to speak. Right?
Yeah.
But now, again, that's why I'm saying those two things are a false option.
Yeah.
If you had a coherent politics, you'll realize that socialism provides so many jobs that there wouldn't need to be race quotas.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Oftentimes, people will present a false dichotomy. It's either this or this.
Yeah.
But if you had a coherent politics outside of that question, you could see that you're being told a false question.
Yeah.
That's, leading you to choose one of two negative answers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Florence Pugh got your ass.
Yeah.
And a lot of people online, but yeah, you.
Me specifically.
She got you. What can I say, bro? She got you. Alright, yeah.
Yeah.
Your notes?
I mean, I feel like they built up the whole bomb thing very well. Like, the whole idea of it, they don't know what's going to happen when they make this thing explode. Like, is it going to be a dud? Is it going to work? Is it going to light the atmosphere on fire?
Right.
Yeah, and I think they released that tension very well.
Yes.
With the explosion.
I agree.
Yeah.
But, not but, sorry.
But.
I want to say something.
Okay.
Earlier in the movie where they're like, we could cause a chain reaction that will blow up the world.
Yes.
Or end the world or something.
Yes.
I swear to God, I thought they nearly did.
Okay.
Right? And at the end of the movie, he says,
yes,
we did do it, right?
Yes.
In Oppenheimer's mind, they did do it. But
yeah.
I was thinking about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
Where
all right. Yeah. Okay.
the Soviet Union and America almost blew up the world.
Yes.
So that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, you did create a chain reaction, and I was so glad that the the final scene confirmed my thoughts. But yeah, that was just a personal moment for me to get a win. That's what we go to the movies for, folks, to win. But yeah, that ending is so fucking cold, dude.
Yeah.
That I think we did.
Yeah.
And Einstein walks away fucked up, dude. It's like, damn. Like when you're smoking weed and your friend says something hectic and you're like, oh my god, he's blue. This motherfucker is spitting facts, yo. That's what Albert Einstein's reaction was when Oppenheimer said that. The other thing I want to say is the stakes in this movie were remarkably small and still had so much of weight to them.
Yeah.
So what are the stakes of this movie?
Build a bomb.
No.
What?
Will Oppenheimer keep his security clearance or not?
Oh, yeah.
That's the defining question of this movie.
Yes.
That's what all these hearings are for.
Yeah.
That's what... And the movie depicting the bomb is only depicting that to show why he should or not have the security clearance, right? Which is remarkably small stakes.
Yes.
Whereas in a superhero movie, every stake is the world is going to end.
Yes.
Right? This is remarkably small stakes, but the world could end. Yeah. Could potentially end in the story, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good inversion of showing the world being at stake is not the be-all and end-all of stakes.
Yeah.
You can have something so small as should he keep the security clearance or not, and you can still maintain tension and
gravitas.
And you can remain interested over such a small issue
Yeah.
over 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually weird. I think this might be the first 3-hour movie this year that I've actually been invested in the whole time. Like I didn't check my watch. I didn't do anything besides watch the movie itself.
All right. Well, it's hard to not take that as a attack on both me and Ari Aster, my good friend. All right, but carry on with your slander. And Big Jim.
Well,
Did you not watch Avatar this year?
I watched it last year as well.
Answer my question. Did you watch Avatar this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you mean you didn't watch a 3-hour movie that kept your attention?
I watched it last year as well, and it kept my attention then.
Oh, you're saying only movies that were released this year?
Yes, this year specifically, yeah.
Whatever. Very small criteria. So, yeah, I can also make a very specific criteria. This was my favorite movie about the scientist Robert Oppenheimer this year.
Damn it. Thought you were going to say your favorite about a nuclear bomb.
There was a documentary about him, but I'm obviously not counting that. Just I'm talking about theatrical, but whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
I also really enjoyed the practical effects. Well, I say practical effects, like there are some things that were definitely done practically.
Yeah, because he said a quote that I think people have misinterpreted.
Yeah.
He said that there's no CGI in this movie.
Yeah.
Which people have taken to mean there's no visual effects. Everything is practical.
Yeah.
That's not what he was saying.
No.
CGI is a very specific thing.
Yeah.
You're taking like the entire image is computer generated.
Yeah.
And then you maybe like paste on the real actor.
Yeah.
What Nolan is saying is he filmed everything and then did some effects over the top of that.
Yeah.
That's what he means. He's not saying that there's no effects.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, I did enjoy, when the bomb went off.
Yeah.
I read this thing that said that they use something called bigatures.
Yes.
So instead of miniatures.
Yeah.
Big version.
Yes.
Yeah. And they got a lot of good footage from that. And
yes.
yeah. I don't really look too much into the craft of filmmaking.
Yeah.
I just like to see it on screen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, it's like so usually like in a movie when there's an explosion, right? You'll have the explosion and then instantly the sound at the same time.
Yes. This was a realistic depiction of a bomb.
Yeah.
Which
Like
very upsetting. Because you're just waiting for the, sound.
Yeah.
And the seconds tick by and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then you get hit by it. It's a very, strange sensation.
Yeah.
It's not something I don't think I've experienced it before. Like maybe something else that gave a similar effect, but I can't remember something where like you see it and then
you wait.
You like wait and it feels
wait.
like an eternity, and then and like I was shocked when the when the sound happened. I was like, woo. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
I mean, literally. Oh, also, yeah. There were some really nice little comedic parts of the movie. Like, when they are, like, also when they're watching the bomb, and one of the scientists turns to the guy in the Jeep, and he's like, where are your glasses? And the guy goes, the windscreen will stop the blast. And he goes, what's going to stop the glass?
Bro, there's so many funny things in this movie.
Oh.
Lots of times when I just burst out laughing.
Yeah.
It's, sometimes inappropriately because the rest of the audience was quiet. I'm like, yo, this is funny, dude.
I giggled to myself most of the way through the movie. But that was mostly nerding out about the theoretical physics behind the whole nuclear stuff. Yeah.
I don't know who's the actor they got for Einstein.
Oh.
But I also don't want to know. That guy, he's just Einstein to me.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to believe that they built a time machine, got the actual Albert Einstein for this movie than I am. Right. Shit. What was I gonna say?
The only gripe I have with this movie.
Wow. Nolan slander. There's people, listening with bated breath now.
It's not even Nolan slander. It's that there's literally... Okay, actually, no, there's two. But I'll get into the second one later. I didn't like the sex scenes. Or like the whole Tatlock... what's her name? Tatlock.
Jean Tatlock.
Yeah. The whole... Like... I didn't see the need for Florence Pugh to always be naked.
She's hot.
Fair enough.
Alright.
But like, why? What was the... Like, so in the notes, I said, she... Like, I get that this actually happened, and they kind of want to represent how, I guess, not hectic, but like, how this affair is happening.
Yeah.
And stuff, right? But like, I feel like they could have done it in other ways.
Alright. Now, listeners, I'm going to tell you something. It's something I've been seeing online.
Okay.
Mostly younger people have started to find sex scenes in movies upsetting or unnecessary.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying it's a general trend I've been seeing.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, I don't like a sex scene because of this or because of that, or, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think that is ridiculous, right?
Okay.
What is the point of anything in a movie?
To tell a story.
Because that's what the director wanted to put in. If
Yeah.
they wanted to put in a sex scene, then that's their prerogative.
Fair enough.
You can dislike it, but,
Yeah.
to say it's pointless is not correct, because like you mentioned yourself, that shows their relationship,
Yeah.
right? It also introduces the oh, I see what this is. Florence Pugh cooked your ass and now you're upset. You're trying to get your revenge. Like, oh, well, her scene sucked, dude. I see what's happening. I see through your lies. Alright, but yes, I thought it was I don't agree that the sex scenes were unnecessary.
Yeah.
I think they were tastefully done.
Okay.
But I thought it was a very weird place to introduce that quote.
Yeah.
That I'm become death, the destroyer. Like, that's one of the things that inappropriately made me laugh. When he said that in that scene,
Yeah.
I started laughing, but the rest of the theater was like quiet, so I'm like, oh shit, let me just reel this in. That was, why would you say that? That's what I'm saying, it's fucking hilarious, bro. But again, I also think that it shows that she's engaging with him intellectually.
Yeah.
As opposed to his wife who,
Drinks.
yeah, but when you see their relationship, they're not really talking about
Like
topics.
intellectual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very like quick interchanges between the two of them.
Yeah.
Then the second sex scene, I thought that was way more effective
Okay.
because it's showing Emily Blunt's psyche.
Yeah. Okay.
She's so upset that she starts imagining what it's like, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I've never had somebody cheat on me, so
Okay.
I can't speak to it. But maybe like she's so upset that's all she can see.
Yeah.
And Nolan is visualizing that.
Yeah.
Her seething rage as her seeing them in the act when that's not at all what's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Or alternative reading, she's just fucking drunk. And there's like a Tweety bird, around her head, flying around her head. When there's like little stars around
Yes.
in a cartoon, that's what's happening to her.
You get bonked on the head in the
Yes.
molehill rises.
Yeah, that's what happened to her. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the second... I mean, It's not really a gripe. It's just kind of something I noticed, and I took 0.05 of a percent, well, of a point off of it for. It was that Emily Blunt's English accent very slightly appears every now and then.
Is she English?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
I don't know your point.
She might be Australian, actually. But, like, yeah. She's... It just, like... I feel like if they redid... Not... Obviously, like, you know, you've got time constraints and there's only so much you can redo.
They redid the dialogue.
Yeah, maybe.
So this is something I mentioned in... Well, sorry, finish your point.
I don't know. I feel like they could have maybe, like, reshot a couple scenes where, like, you know, she's more American. But that's really, like, the only thing about it. It's not crazy.
Right. Well, I make a separate point.
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but I didn't, feel her accent was off or anything.
Yeah.
But, so this is something I found out this week. Nolan says he doesn't ADR anymore.
ADR.
I mentioned that in the context.
Oh, right.
I said he's a pioneer in some places, but he's a Luddite in others, such as using ADR. So ADR is when they, like, redub.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, like, they film it, and then maybe you can't hear somebody clearly. They'll re-record it at the studio, and they'll just redub the...
Right.
So, all of Bane's dialogue was ADR'd in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. Because you can't hear him through the mask.
Yeah. But, yeah. So, in Tenet and this one, I'm not sure about, the movies in between Dark Knight Rises and Tenet.
Yeah.
But he said specifically from Tenet and this one, he stopped using ADR.
Okay, yeah.
And a common complaint in these two movies is that people have found that they're too loud and they can't hear the actors.
Okay, yeah.
So that made perfect sense to me. I'm like, oh, it's because you're not ADRing any dialogue.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
That does make sense.
So that's what I'm saying. That's a separate point to what you were saying about the accent. But it reminded me about he doesn't ADR anymore.
Yeah.
But they could have fixed Emily Blunt's accent if they did ADR.
Yeah, they could have.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that's really about it for me from this movie.
Have we gone through everything? I'm trying to think now.
I don't... Yeah, I mean...
Because I didn't go through it scene by scene like we usually do.
Yeah.
I was worried that this episode would go too long because it's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. Oh, the PTSD.
Yeah. It's a realistic portrayal of,
PTSD. Well, the guilt, I guess.
a panic attack.
Is it?
You know when he goes and he gives that speech?
Yeah.
And he's freaking out?
Yes.
That's a realistic depiction of a panic attack.
Oh.
I also really love that scene where, like, he's giving a speech and the Americans are chanting.
Yeah.
And you see you said it, the PTSD.
Yeah.
You can see the effect it's having on him.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, another point of criticism people have leveled at this movie is that we don't see the Japanese reaction.
Yeah.
Which, that's a fine point. But again, I go back to, it's Christopher Nolan's decision.
Yeah.
Nolan is making a movie about this man's guilt.
Yeah.
He's not interested in the
fallout.
the victims of that guilt.
Right, yeah.
In the same way as, somebody like the person who invented the gun.
Yeah.
It would be like about their life. It won't be about the victims that those guns took.
Yeah.
Similarly, that's how I think Nolan views this. But if you, think something is missing without the Japanese perspective, then that's fine. But, but like I said, you can just deduct points from your rating.
Yeah.
Nolan is not on any obligation to do what you think should have been in the movie.
That is fair.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. There was something I was thinking and I just lost it.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked, dude.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll skip it and I'll put it in the cleanup next week.
Alright. Recommendation.
So you know how last week I was talking about Bruise Brothers, and you were like, well, I was like, oh, it's pretty terrible. Well, it's like average. It's not well written, not well acted, not well this and that.
Oh, the Jewish bar.
Yes, yeah, the Jewish
bar. Right. Okay.
Um, I see why it wasn't renewed. Okay.
I hope the creators hear this and they come after you. They leave nasty comments on YouTube. They're like, we gave our best, fuck you. Have you made Hebrews brothers?
It sounds wrong like that, right? It's because they ended it perfectly.
Oh.
That's the one thing they did really well. They ended it perfectly. But yeah, so I finished Blues Brothers. And, Record of Ragnarok, which I also spoke about last week. I just finished that up as well. And, they've pretty much just set up season 3. It's kind of insignificant because, at the end of season 1, they're, even on points between humans and gods. At the end of season 2, spoiler alert, same thing. So, yeah.
They didn't progress.
Yeah.
It's just the same shit.
Pretty much, yeah.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
When they restore everything to the status quo.
Yeah.
There needs to be change,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah.
My recommendations. The season 4 premiere of the Harley Quinn TV show.
Okay.
It's just it's funny as ever, and I'm excited for the season end.
Okay.
There's nothing really to say. They're at least the first 3 episodes.
Nice.
Way fun.
Cool.
There's a new animated Justice League movie subtitled Warworld.
Okay.
It's a series of vignettes starring the main members of the Justice League.
Okay.
And do they all tie together at the end of the movie? I'll never tell.
Oh.
But they do. Spoiler. Spoiler alert, the Justice League teams up at the end of a Justice League movie.
That's insane.
Yeah, I thought it was mid. I gave it a 5.
Okay.
There's a new season of Good Omens.
Okay.
It's a show about an angel and a demon trying to save the world.
Okay.
Based on a book by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. The first season was released in 2019 and stars Michael Sheen and David Tennant.
Okay.
Do you know those guys?
Charlie Sheen's brother and the guy from Friends?
No.
Damn.
The guy from Friends. How do you get that from David Tennant?
Isn't that
David Schwimmer.
Oh, sure.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
The same first name.
Yeah.
David Tennant was the Doctor in Doctor Who.
Oh.
He's probably the most beloved Doctor.
Right, okay.
And people are always like, bring him back. But the point of Doctor Who is when he dies, he regenerates into another form.
Yes.
So that guy's dead.
Yeah.
They always travel through time to, meet him again.
Yeah.
Because, the public is so in love with David Tennant.
Yeah.
He was also, do you know in the 4th Harry Potter movie?
Yes.
He is the guy who brings Voldemort back to life.
Oh.
He becomes... Who the fuck is that guy? Alistair Moody, Mad-Eye Moody.
Yeah.
He pretends to be Mad-Eye Moody.
Yeah.
That character is played by David Tennant.
Right, okay. Yeah.
He is also the villain in Jessica Jones. Have you seen that?
No.
It's called He's the Purple Man.
Okay.
But, very sick guy. He rapes her.
Oh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I thought it was fun. It's a charming show. Season 2, I think, still keeps the charm, but it's unfocused and a step down from the storytelling in the first season.
Okay.
So the first season was based on the book,
Yeah.
the entirety of the book. But
Alright.
there's an unpublished outline for a second book,
Okay.
which is what this season was based on.
Right.
So I think if they had tightened up the the rough outline,
Yeah.
they could have had a better season.
Okay, yeah.
But I gave it a 6.
Okay.
Then I caught up on the stuff I should have done for our previous episodes. So first I watched Greta Gerwig's Little Women.
Okay.
So I'd seen the 1933 original a while back,
Yeah.
and this adds a lot, but the main thing is the visual elements.
Okay.
So the 1933 one is a black and white
Yeah.
movie.
Makes
So
sense.
this, the outfits of all the sisters
Yeah.
and just the visuals of the movie are just spectacular, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So once again, I view her as the female Zack Snyder.
Fair enough.
I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Then I watched Mission Impossibles 2 through 6.
Okay.
Basically, everything I said in the episode is correct, except for the fact that I've now watched number 6 and is my favorite ahead of 4. So, in descending order of quality, I go 6, which I gave a 9.
Wow. Okay.
4, which I gave a 9.
Okay.
The first one, which I gave an 8.
Okay.
The fifth one, which I gave an 8.
Yeah.
The seventh one, which is the one we covered,
Yes.
I gave it a 6.
Okay.
The third one from 2006, I gave a 6.
Okay.
And the second one, I gave a 5.
Okay.
So yeah. Up, like, 6, 4, 1, and 5 are all good movies.
Right.
7, 3, and 2 are not good movies. Right? That's the lower tier and there's upper tier. There's a very clear denomination between them.
Okay. Yeah.
Then, the next installment in the Tim Burton miniseries is Sweeney Todd.
Oh. Okay.
Which is an adaptation of the novel and then later legendary stage play of the same name.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good movie. Nowhere near the quality of 90s Burton.
Okay.
But it's a solid 7 out of 10 movie. Apparently the stage play is so good that a lot of people felt let down by this movie.
Yeah.
But I have no context for that, so I can't speak to it.
Fair enough.
I'm only speaking in terms of the movie.
Reasonable.
Lastly, I watched the next Park Chan-wook movie. It's called I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay.
Oh.
And it's a movie about a young mentally ill woman who has been committed to a mental institution because she believes that she's a cyborg.
Oh.
I watched this in 2021 and I thought it was so boring. On rewatch, it's gone up extremely high in my rankings.
Oh.
I think I may have just been on my phone at the time, when I was watching that.
Yeah.
But now that I was paying attention, I realized that you get a lot of incredible visuals.
Okay.
It's a way more funny story than, funny elements in the story than I remember.
Yeah.
And much more heartwarming.
Okay.
I gave it a 9.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably my biggest surprise upon rewatch throughout the series so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, give a like, etc.
2, 3, 4 likes if you have multiple accounts.
Now, we're not supposed to give out stuff,
Okay.
right? Because this could be seen as a bribe.
Yes.
But if you give a like, I'll bake a muffin and come to your house personally and deliver it. So, take that for it. what it's worth,
Yeah.
Again, we're not allowed to bribe, so this is not a bribe. I'm just saying, sometimes people say things.
That is true.
Maybe take that into consideration. That's all I'm saying.
In fact, maybe I'll go give it a like to get a free muffin.
Alright, you excluded.
Oh, that's not fair.
How is that not fair? You're gaming the system. You're taking it from yourself. You maniac. Alright.
I just want the muffin, man.
Anyway, importantly, it needs to be a 5-star review.
It has to be.
Please subscribe on Patreon to listen to our movie commentaries.
Yeah.
You can find all our links at PAICIP.com. Please tell a friend. Tell that friend to tell a friend. And tell a family member.
Tell 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think that's it for this week.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheerio.
Au revoir.